So I've had the Sapphire Preferred from Chase for just under 2 years now, and during that time, I've thought about upgrading to the Sapphire Reserve several times, but this most recent time is a little bit more serious, which is why I'm making this video today. Chase has opened a number of their flagship Sapphire lounges recently, including my home airport of Washington Dulles. Dulles has a lot of different lounges to choose from, including one of my personal favorites, the Capital One Lounge. Everyone figured out that it's a very nice lounge. It's gotten quite crowded recently, and the other Priority Pass lounges, at least, I can't speak for the different airline-specific lounges, but for the Priority Pass lounges, it is very, very clear that there is a lot of overcrowding. But the one that seems to have avoided this is the Sapphire Lounge at Washington Dulles, because they only allow Sapphire Reserve and Ritz-Carlton card members to get unlimited access to this lounge. If you have a Priority Pass membership, don't feel too bad, because you do get one free visit per year to a Sapphire Lounge if you're choosing with a card that gives you Priority Pass that is not the Sapphire Reserve or the Ritz-Carlton card. So that's one reason why I've been considering upgrading to the Reserve this time, but there are a number of other positive and negative changes that we've seen from last year into this year that have made me seriously consider making a change. This year, Chase announced several new lounge openings for their Sapphire Lounge network. They already have lounges in the United States, in Boston, Massachusetts, and Austin, Texas. There's also a lounge in Hong Kong if you happen to be in that corner of the world. And now, Chase has also opened lounges at LaGuardia and JFK in New York City. Those have been open since January of this year, and they've also opened, of course, that location at Washington Dulles since March. Further locations are in the works, so once these open, there's going to be quite a nice Sapphire Lounge network. It's not going to be quite as big as the American Express Centurion Lounge collection, of course, but it's already bigger than Capital One's quite small but mighty collection of just 3 lounges. In addition to this lounge expansion initiative from Chase, there's been some negative changes. Sapphire Reserve cardholders lost Priority Pass restaurant access from July 1st, 2024, and now, as of July 31st, we've also lost access to Instacart credits. Sapphire Preferred members have also lost this benefit, and for the Reserve, it was $15 per month. For the Preferred, $15 per quarter. So these were pretty big benefits, I would say. I was using it for the Preferred every single quarter, mostly because I would use it for things that are a little bit more expensive at a grocery store that I already buy anyway, and while it's not a flashy credit by any means, it was definitely one that was convenient for me personally. So that was a bit of a loss, but all was not lost as it turns out, because on the 1st of this month, Chase announced that they would be extending their partnership with DoorDash through 2027, so you would also get your Dash Pass extended through then, which is nice. But the main thing is they also introduced these DoorDash credits for grocery and retail orders, which sounds a little bit ridiculous at first glance. You know, usually you use DoorDash for ordering food, right? But it's very similar to the Instacart credit. You would get the $15 for it and you'd order groceries, but now you just do it on a different platform through DoorDash. I'm not quite sure what the markup differences are for Instacart and DoorDash, but if somebody knows, do let me know in the comments. But for me, it just seems like using the same service that I would use for it, just on a different platform, and I get more per quarter. You know, I get $30 per quarter instead of $15, and I get it monthly in $10 installments. It seems nice. And for the Reserve, you actually get $20 a month. You get 2 $10 credits to use for 2 different orders. But of course, this is not easy to use for everybody. For me, it works because I live in a large metropolitan area. So having this available to me to go do a pickup order, save on delivery fees, it's like a good credit for me. And then one final note for this, the Sapphire Reserve has retained that $5 a month DoorDash credit for restaurant orders. And the cool thing about this is you can roll it over 2 months in a row. So on the 3rd month of every quarter, you'll have $15 to use for DoorDash. Adding all of these benefits together, it's clear that it's going to be a lot easier for me to get value from the Sapphire Reserve than I used to think that I could. So the Sapphire Preferred has a $95 annual fee that I pay every year, and in return, I get access to Chase's travel partners, so I can move all of the points that I accumulate on my 3 other Chase cards, move them to the Sapphire Preferred, and then from the Preferred out to a partner like United or Hyatt or something like that. I do think it's annoying to have to pay $95 for the privilege to move points, but this is the reality we're in, and I am pretty much focused on travel redemptions right now, so it's kind of a necessary expense, I guess you could say. But it's not all bad, because I do get access to a $50 hotel credit every single year that I can use for bookings in the Chase Travel Portal, and technically you can liquefy it as well, but I've never done that. And for value, I would give this the full $50 just because I do travel frequently and I am no longer adverse to using travel portals. There's also that $10 a month, as I just mentioned, for DoorDash grocery and retail orders. I'd be using it for pickup, so I want to give it the full value at $10, but unfortunately I just don't think I can because of price markups and things like that. So I'm going to have to give this just $5 a month. But even still, that's still $60 in value that I didn't have before. It'll be $120 worth of stuff, but for fairness, I'm going to keep it at $60 in valuations here. But that's already $110 total between the hotel credit and the new DoorDash perks here. And that annual fee has been taken care of. Like, I've prepaid for these services and I can still move my points out. It's pretty nice. Like, still not great, but it is definitely better, I think, with these credits. It would be like if I had the Instacart credit every single month. So I'm excited for this. The Preferred and the Reserve both have fairly strong travel protections as well for peace of mind. So if I book flights with the Sapphire Preferred, I can do that confidently and decline like that insurance that they offer to you, knowing that if something goes wrong and it's not my fault, odds are I can submit a claim with Chase's benefits administrator and get something back for that mishap. I also get a 25% boost on any point redemptions that I make in the Chase Travel Portal, and unfortunately, I do think that is not very competitive, especially because you can get 1.5 cents per point with the Reserve, more on that in a minute, and also like something like the Altitude Reserve from US Bank. If I were to upgrade to the Sapphire Reserve, it would set me back $550 every year. With that annual fee, there's also more benefits than the Preferred. There's a really flexible $300 travel credit that you can use, and you can use it for things like flights, hotels, taking a rideshare into the city. Like, those are all things you can use. And I really like that. I value flexibility, especially because I already have a $300 credit from the Venture X and a $325 credit from the Altitude Reserve for travel. And then I would definitely use both of those. And I would also use this one. There's also a $100, soon to be $120 credit for Global Entry or TSA PreCheck. And unfortunately, I'd have to value this at 0 just because I already have it. And my partner is also already covered by her own Global Entry, so we're all good on that front. And while I can't give it a actual value, it would be nice as a gift to give to somebody. So I'd still use it, but I can't give it any actual value in this calculation. And then there's the $240 of annual value that I could theoretically get from the DoorDash grocery order benefits. And like the Preferred, it's going to be a 50% valuation, so that's $120 there. But on the other hand, for the DoorDash restaurant credits, I would give that the full $60 because this is a service that I use already, and the markups are still there on the delivery app, but I don't think they're quite as bad for the places that I typically order from. Because it is a premium travel credit card, it of course offers really good lounge access, I would say. There's a Priority Pass membership, which is worthless to me, but it also has Sapphire Lounge access, which I value at $80 annually. Why do I value it so highly? Well, I would make use of the Washington Dulles Lounge as well as the Boston Logan Lounge. There's a pretty nice one there, I think, but odds are we will go there at least once a year together and probably more like twice a year. So that's 2 trips at 2 people, $80. And then for the points boost, like I mentioned earlier, you can get 1.5 cents per point by using your points in the Chase Travel Portal. So that's a 50% bump. And I think this is really helpful for booking like independent hotels. So say you want to stay at a nice boutique hotel on a vacation somewhere, but they're not a Marriott or a Hilton or Hyatt or any other major hotel chain, and they don't have a loyalty program and they don't have points to use. Well, never fear, you can use your Chase points to do this, and you can redeem your points in the portal, and you can book through there, and the hotel will still honor your reservation because it was made through Chase. I think that's probably one of the stronger suits for the 1.5 cents per point. I think a lot of people like to use it for domestic economy flights, which is nice too, but I don't think that moves the needle too much for me because I already get 1.5 cents per point on my Altitude Reserve credit card from US Bank. And then lastly, there's also a 2-year Lyft Pink membership, which intrigues me. I can't give it a full value because I don't really know how much I would be saving for every single ride that I take, but it offers discounts on things like priority pickups, and it just generally seems like I could actually use it as somebody who does not own a car. Anyway, guys, with all of that said, I would get $110 in value from the Sapphire Preferred or $560 in value from the Sapphire Reserve. Now, obviously, when we subtract the annual fees, that's $15 on the Preferred versus $10 on the Reserve, so I guess technically the Sapphire Preferred wins out for me personally. But it's less of the numbers and really more of the intangibles. Like, are those Sapphire lounges really, really worth it? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. And also, like, will I actually use this DoorDash credit? That also remains to be seen. But I'm hoping that I can at least visit the Sapphire Lounge at Washington Dulles using my one free Priority Pass visit every single year so I can get a better understanding of these lounges and how crowded they are versus something like the Capital One lounges. That way I can see if it'd be worth holding on to both the Venture X and upgrading to the Sapphire Reserve. This also means that we'd have to keep track of like more credits to use, but I think people get hung up on this quite a bit, and for good reason, but I think it's worth mentioning that American Express does the exact same thing with their platinum and gold cards and, well, really most of their cards. And it's just something that you kind of have to keep track of if you want to play this game, is how I view it. But anyway, guys, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the Sapphire Reserve, especially after these new changes announced this year and this month. And I'm gonna have to stick with the Preferred for now, I think. I'm just trying to cut back on annual fees wherever possible because I'm going to add the American Express Gold and Platinum, which are both a little bit expensive. So I need to find a way to balance things somehow. That'll do it for today's video, guys. I've been Josh, and until next time, take care.